What a thrilling match in el Estadio Olímpico de Montjuic. But Carlo Ancelotti is the new man in charge for Brazil. As it was officially announced, he is the new manager for the Brazilian national team. Ancelotti will take over starting May 25th after the conclusion of La Liga. The announcement comes after Real Madrid's loss in the Clásico this weekend, as we just saw. Here's Brazilian Federation President Ednaldo Rodrigues.
Olá, torcedores brasileiros. Inicialmente, quero expressar meu profundo agradecimento pela paciência e pelo apoio de todos vocês ao longo deste processo. É com enorme satisfação que venho anunciar um reforço extraordinário. A seleção brasileira mais vencedora da história do futebol mundial será comandada pelo maior treinador do mundo, o italiano Carlo Ancelotti. Ancelotti vai treinar a seleção nas eliminatórias da Copa do Mundo e também no Mundial do próximo ano. Com uma mentalidade vencedora, ele é o único treinador na história do futebol a conquistar 5 títulos da Champions League e também as 5 principais ligas nacionais da Europa. O treinador cumprirá seu compromisso com o Real Madrid até o final da temporada da La Liga. Quero também aproveitar este momento para registrar meus agradecimentos especiais ao presidente do Real Madrid, Florentino Pérez, e José Ángel, por toda a compreensão, diálogo e apoio que tornaram possível essa transação. Nosso novo comandante começará os trabalhos daqui a pouco. No dia 26 de maio, Ancelotti convocará os 23 atletas para os 2 confrontos. Tenho certeza que este será o primeiro passo em nossa jornada rumo ao hexacampeonato. Mais uma vez, agradeço a paciência e o entusiasmo de todos os nossos torcedores. Quero convocar cada um de vocês para apoiar a seleção na busca pelo tão sonhado hexacampeonato. Tenho plena convicção de que, sob a liderança de Ancelotti e com a união e dedicação de nossos jogadores, estaremos mais fortes do que nunca para enfrentar os desafios que virão. Vamos junto, Brasil, rumo ao hexacampeonato.
Well, to get that 6th title, still a lot of steps to take. But as we just heard, O Presidente there, Jose, we know that he will be in charge of choosing this next squad for the World Cup qualifiers against Ecuador and Paraguay here coming up in June. What should this first call-up look like for Ancelotti specifically, who has to get to know a squad, which we know he knows a few of the players there already?
Yeah, he knows Rodrigo, Vini Jr., maybe Casemiro will come back to the Brazilian national team. He was one of the key players when Carlo Ancelotti was manager of Real Madrid in his first term. But Chris, don't worry about the qualifiers. Like, Brazil is going to make it to the next World Cup. With this format, out of 10 teams, 6 go straight, and the 7th still has a chance. So Brazil is going to be in the next World Cup. The challenge is going to be what El Presidente was saying. Can they win the 6th title? Like, before Carlo Ancelotti, Brazil was not even a contender to me. You have Spain, France, and of course, Argentina. Those were the 3 clear favorites. Now, with a manager of the caliber of Carlo Ancelotti, I think Brazil can have a chance because they have quality, especially in the final third. Raphinha, he can perfectly be one of the nominees for the Balon d'Or, for the Golden Ball. You got Vini Jr., who is the best right now, or he won the best. And you also have young players, Endrick, and I think Carlo Ancelotti is going to get back the best version of Neymar. So with Carlo Ancelotti, Brazil made the right move. Because let me ask you something. If I ask you, who is the hot Brazilian coach that all European teams want right now? None, because that has been the case. Historically, Brazil has had the better players in the world, but never the best managers. So they made the right move. They needed a manager like Carlo Ancelotti,
They've
someone
had Brazilian
who commands
managers.
respect.
He's the first one in
their history.
Yeah.
The first
second
official,
one.
the official head coach.
In a
because he was an
century.
interim coach.
Yeah.
So it's the official head coach in in the Brazil history of the national team, and it tells you something. It tells you about the current state of this national team. Dorival Jr. was a journeyman coach. And he got himself to the national team. I believe the Brazilian national team was team number 26, 27. The official number is escaping me, but it shows you how far down they had to go. Well, I think it's also an indictment of not only coaching, but this player pool. Now, they're talking about winning the 6th title. Brazil's not going to win the sixth title with Carlo Ancelotti. For God's sakes, with this player pool, they're not going anywhere. With players like Marcelo, with players, real good players on that team, like a Neymar on their day, with a plethora of ridiculous Brazilian talent, they've not won it since 2002. Dani Alves, there's a long list of actual great players that didn't win this. And now you've got a weaker player field, and you're supposed to win it. I looked at the odds on ESPN Bet. As soon as this was made public, Brazil jumped to second best odds, plus 575. Plus 575. Only Spain were better. They had better odds than France, that you mentioned. They had better odds than Argentina, Germany, England, all these different countries. I asked myself, why? How did this happen? It's not who they think is going to win. It's influenced by the money. This is what Brazil is doing right now. They are selling hope. They are, right now, with Carlo Ancelotti, the best coach in the world. El Presidente said it, right?
Yeah.
Best coach in the world.
Yeah.
Well, debatable. There's still a Pep Guardiola out there. Debatable. There's still a Jurgen Klopp who may have been available. It's debatable, but what they're doing right now is they're giving the people hope. And for the first time in a long time, the people in Brazil are saying, wait a second, he's going to bring Casemiro out? Because the players, those players that Jose mentioned, they'll listen to Casemiro. Oh, you want Neymar to play in the World Cup? Hey, that doesn't sound so bad. And you mentioned Raphinha. You mentioned Endrick, Rodrigo. Yeah, and the final third, those are very good club players. Club players. And the best in the world. Raphinha is a legit Balon d'Or candidate. He may actually win it. But with Brazil, that's not the same Vini Jr.
But
With Brazil,
No.
that's not the same Raphinha.
I agree, but that's exactly what he said about Argentina before Lionel Scaloni. So Carlo Ancelotti can be a difference maker for Brazil, for all the things that you mentioned.
Wow. The only difference is on Argentina, you had a Lionel Messi. You had a legit, out of this world, different planet type of player. Those players right now are few far between. I don't believe Brazil has one right now.
Yeah, but
A
before
healthy
the
one.
World Cup, how many people talk about Julian Alvarez? Credit to Lionel Scaloni. How many people talk about McAllister? How many people talk about Cuti Romero? So that is the difference. If you have a good manager, Carlo Ancelotti is not Jogo Bonito. When you think about Jogo Bonito and Carlo Ancelotti, that's day and night. But that's fine. You know what? That's fine. Brazil doesn't care about the how. In 1994, I remember I was a kid. Carlos Alberto Pereira. I remember the Cristinas of the world, the Hercules of the world in 1994. Oh, Carlos Alberto Pereira. He plays horrible, blah, blah, blah. I don't like the way Brazil plays. But you know what? They won the World Cup. No one cares how they did it.
Sounds like Real Madrid to me. Winning
Yeah,
the
exactly.
Champions League with Carlo Ancelotti.
Just with less talent. And that's a reality. It's a very top-heavy team. So we can sit here and say it's a positive move in the right direction.
But Carlo
for
Ancelotti
Brazil.
has the capacity, against all odds, Herc, to still turn a team around.
How did that look
Tell
this
me I'm
season
wrong.
for Real Madrid?
Tell me I'm wrong. Oh, with all the injuries?
Of course. What you're telling me is unless he has talent.
Unexpected injuries?
What you're telling me is unless
We're
he has
talking about a
talent
short
available-
tournament, like the World Cup.
Exactly. Imagine
That's
that.
key.
Imagine that. But what you're telling me is with no talent, he couldn't do it. He needs the talent. And you always need talent. Carlo Ancelotti is a very good coach, absolutely. But have you seen Brazil at the back? Have you seen the left back, Aranha? Have you seen the right back? Have you seen who they have centrally? Have you seen that midfield? Have you seen the lack of creativity? Have you seen the lack of inspiration from the players in that front line? Yes, a Raphinha. Yes, a Vini Jr. Have you seen that team? And when you look at this team, there's a reason they've struggled. This Brazil team isn't the Brazil of old. And I'm not saying the Brazil of old had the answers, because you had names in their prime like Neymar,
Right.
and they still were looking for those answers.
Yeah.
But we just saw this Brazil team get embarrassed by Argentina in Argentina. What I do think will help here is what Jose said. Carlo Ancelotti bringing back experienced players. Because I guarantee you with the Casemiro, with the Neymar on the team, Raphinha probably doesn't tell the press they're looking to embarrass Argentina.
Christina, what you mentioned, to me, that's the key. You were right on point. If you're giving me Carlo Ancelotti for the full year, for the qualifiers that in South America are like 3.5 years, no, I don't like Carlo Ancelotti. But if you give me that coach for 8 games, when you only need moments of brilliance, when you need a manager who knows how to change certain players at certain times of the game, yeah, Carlo Ancelotti is the right man for the job. With this guy in charge, Brazil has a chance. I'm not saying they're better than Argentina, France, or Spain just because they brought Carlo Ancelotti, but now they're giving themselves a chance because they got exactly what they needed, a good coach. After Tite left, they had instability. Change after change after change. Because you know what? Brazilian players, they're not stupid. They're playing the elite. They're playing at the highest level. So when you bring like coaches that doesn't have that name in their back, you know, players are skeptical. With Carlo Ancelotti, that's not the case. He's going to walk in and everyone is going to listen.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. They're going to immediately give him the respect he deserves because he's Carlo Ancelotti. My worry here, two parts, okay? Ancelotti is a club coach who for the first time is going to international football.
Fair.
And if you're an American, if you're a U.S. men's national team fan, you've already seen how that may be difficult. You don't have the day-to-day grind or interaction with the player to work that may be difficult. And also the player. There are some players here that you would say, this is great because Carlo Ancelotti has gotten the best out of Vini Jr. Carlo Ancelotti has gotten the best out of Rodrigo. Look what he's done with Endrick in the short amount of time. Then you also see this year with Real Madrid, and you're like, well, he also didn't get the best out of him this year.
Right. Speaking of, Endrick.